More than 200 years ago, Haiti won its independence from France in a slave revolt. It is the only time such an uprising led to the formation of a country. But that freedom came with a heavy price. Building upon decades of research from historians, a New York Times investigation published Saturday shows after Haiti won its independence, it was forced to pay France a massive ransom or face another war, making Haiti, quote, the first and only country where the descendants of enslaved people paid the families of their former masters for generations. Haiti sent billions of dollars to France over several decades, funding the Eiffel Tower, growing France's robust economy. The New York Times concludes that if money had stayed in Haiti, it would have added up to $115 billion. Let's bring in Guerlaine Joseph. She is the founder and executive director of the Haitian Bridge Alliance. Guerlaine, we're going to talk about Title 42 in just a second. But before we do, I want you to draw a line for me, connect the dots between that history, that research, that investigation, what we learned there, and the state of Haiti today, and why it is that we see so many Haitian migrants showing up at the U.S.-Mexico border.
Thank you so much, Alicia. And the research showed, the report showed exactly where we are today and why we are here today. And as you mentioned, the history of Haiti, the culture of Haiti, rich and beautiful, and the tragedy that comes with having to pay the same people who enslaved us for the freedom, not just the freedom of Haiti, but the freedom of the entire South and Central America. And I also want people to understand that Haiti has always been a country that received people from the Middle East, received people from Europe, received people from around the world, people who were in search of freedom and liberty, because that is what exactly Haiti was built and created to represent a new idea, a new reality where all people will be free and free from slavery. And we paid the cost with our blood, and we actually paid the cost with money that we are still now seeing the impact of. $115 billion. That is what the cost of freedom, and that's what caused the impoverishment of Haiti as we see it today. We always see on the headline, Haiti, the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere, but this shows the world exactly why when we say Haiti is not poor, Haiti, the richness of Haiti, the culture and the manpower and the money of Haiti was stolen by France and continues to be stolen by the powers around the world.
It struck me that there was, this very big piece in the New York Times, and it came as there was all of this legal back and forth over Title 42. And so that is the bulk of the work that you do. You are working with Haitians who want to seek asylum in the United States. Talk to me a little bit about what it means practically for Haitians seeking asylum at the U.S.-Mexico border that Title 42 remains in place.
Thank you so much, Alicia. The Title 42 remaining in place right now continues to literally kill Haitians and other people at the U.S.-Mexico border. As I'm speaking to you right now, I am in the middle of planning funerals for 2 people in Tijuana who was killed due to Title 42. One in Tapachula, one in McAllen because of Reynosa, and 11 in Puerto Rico. So what we are seeing right now is the human cost of what Title 42 is. And also Haiti is the only country that the U.S. has chosen to deport and expel people to over the weekend. Over 200 yesterday, over 200 today, including 60 children between the ages of 0 and 2. The United States over the weekend has sent over 400 people to Haiti, deporting over 400 asylum seekers under Title 42. And I will repeat, the only country that the United States have chosen to deport and expel people, including pregnant women and babies between the ages of 0 to 2, as I'm speaking to you right now. And in addition to that, when we see the human life, people making the journey from Haiti or from South and Central America to make it to the border, I cannot even begin to explain to you the hardship, the horror stories we have heard of people literally dying on the way because they cannot stay at home because of what's happening in Haiti, because we are still paying for being the leaders of freedom, for making sure that people are free. And we are seeing the economic impact in Haiti right now. In addition to the climate change, in addition to the killing and murder of the president, extreme instability in Haiti, gang violence, buy arms that are, we don't make arms in Haiti. We don't create guns in Haiti. Where are those guns coming to make sure that Haiti is in a space of despair, but at the same time, making sure we are deporting, expelling people back to a country we know for a fact is in dire need. What we are seeing right now, the ruling of the court with Title 42 is unacceptable. We are standing against it, and we are pushing the Biden administration to do the right thing by appealing and not take no for an answer when it comes to Title 42 and any other policies that are hindering and creating people to die at the border right now. It is unacceptable for us as a country, the United States, to continue this Title 42.